Sleep is not a luxury. It's not self care. It is not something you optimize once everything else in your life is in order. Sleep is the foundation that everything else rests on. And yet, it is one of the most chronically neglected, misunderstood, and underestimated pillars of health in our modern world. Even among people who eat organic and take supplements, work with herbs, and consider themselves deeply holistic. Anyone who knows me in my personal life knows this about me. I am uncompromising when it comes to what I call sleep hygiene. My routines change with the season, my bedtime shift throughout the year. What I do in the winter looks different than what I do in the summer. But there are certain non negotiables that never change because there is nothing, no supplement, no herb, no food, no medicine, no tea that can do for your body what sleep does. Nothing, and I mean nothing, repairs and restores the nervous system the way sleep does. Nothing clears the brain the way sleep does. Nothing recalibrates hormones, inflammation, emotional regulation, and perception the way sleep does. This isn't an opinion, it's physiology. In this episode, I'm going to show you why so many people who do everything right are still exhausted, inflamed, anxious, or just not healing, and how poor sleep architecture quietly undermines even the best diets, supplements, and protocols. I'll share what actually makes sleep restorative, what silently destroys it, and how to build sleep hygiene that works with your biology instead of against it. So if you want your body to heal, keep watching. During deep sleep, the brain activates the glymphatic system, a process that literally clears metabolic waste from neurotissue. This includes the beta amyloid proteins that are strongly associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. Studies published in journals like Nature, which is arguably the most prestigious medical journal out there, show that chronic sleep deprivation and poor quality sleep dramatically increases the risk of neurodegenerative disease, mood disorders, chronic inflammation, metabolic dysfunction, and cardiovascular disease. Sleep loss doesn't just make you tired, it alters the structure and function of the brain itself. And yet we live in a culture that treats sleep as optional, as something to squeeze in after screens or stimulation, socializing, eating, scrolling, working, and emotional labor. We normalize artificial light, constant notifications, and emotional activation right up until the moment we're expecting the nervous system just simply shut off. Well, it doesn't work like that. Just to be clear, not all sleep is created equal, not at all. Sleep happens in cycles, not in a straight line. Throughout the night, the brain, the body move through repeating sleep cycles that last roughly 90 minutes each, and this does decrease with age. A healthy night of sleep typically includes 4 to 6 of these cycles, depending on the length of time you're asleep. Each cycle contains light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep, and each stage serves a very different and essential purpose. Deep sleep, also called slow wave sleep, is the most physically restorative stage of sleep. This is when the body does the bulk of its repair work. During deep sleep, growth hormone is released, tissues are repaired, muscles recover, and the immune system strengthens. And inflammation is reduced. Heart rate and blood pressure drop, breathing slows, and the nervous system shifts in its most parasympathetic restorative state. This is the stage of sleep that literally rebuilds you. If someone is not getting enough deep sleep, the body never fully restores itself. You can spend 8 hours in bed and still wake up exhausted if your sleep is fragmented or stuck in lighter stages. Chronic lack of deep sleep has been linked to increased pain sensitivity, weakened immune function, metabolic issues, hormonal imbalances, and long term inflammatory conditions. This is why people can feel run down even when they think they're sleeping enough. REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement, is a type of sleep that serves a different but equally critical function. REM sleep is when the brain becomes highly active and when most dreaming occurs. This stage is essential for emotional regulation, memory consolidation, learning, creativity, and psychological integration. During REM sleep, the brain processes emotional experiences, softens the charge around stressful events, and integrates memories in a way that supports mental health and resilience. REM sleep is also deeply connected to mood. Research consistently shows that disrupted or shortened REM sleep is associated with anxiety, depression, and just difficulty coping with stress. In REM sleep, the brain essentially rehearses emotional responses in a safe environment, allowing us to wake up more emotionally balanced. What's important to understand is that deep sleep tends to dominate the earlier part of the night, while REM sleep becomes longer and more frequent in the later hours of sleep. So, this means that consistently going to bed too late or cutting sleep short often robs people of REM sleep, even if they think they're getting enough total hours. Light sleep on its own does very little to restore or repair the body. If your nervous system is constantly activated by light, noise, emotional stimulation, stress, blood sugar fluctuations, or physical discomfort, then the body struggles to move into deep and REM sleep. So you may drift in and out of light sleep all night long without ever fully dropping into the stages where healing actually occurs. I'm a holistic herbalist, and even within the holistic and wellness world, sleep hygiene is often poorly understood. I've even house sat for fellow herbalists and walked into bedrooms filled with blinking lights, glowing electronics, buzzing devices, and constant low grade stimulation. I watch people all the time do things to try and improve their health and well being during the day, and then unknowingly sabotage the very process that allows the body to heal at night. For me, sleep hygiene starts long before my head hits the pillow. I begin my wind down process at least 2 hours before bed. That doesn't mean I live like a monk or I never watch television, but it does mean that I'm extremely intentional about what I allow into my consciousness. I do not engage with emotionally charged content, violent imagery, distressing news, or anything that sparks activation in my nervous system. I don't scroll, I don't check bank accounts. I don't have emotionally loaded conversations. My husband will tell you right now that if you want to have a heavier, important conversation with me, well, then you can catch me before a specific designated time. I don't engage in late night text exchange or phone calls. The people in my life know this about me. If it's late, I'm not available, not because I don't care, but because my nervous system does. This is where people typically say to me like, "Oh, but what if there's an emergency?" First of all, those rarely happen in my experience. People will set their whole lives around these extremely rare quote unquote emergencies. And if you have kids or loved ones or something important that you want to make sure you're available for no matter what time of day or night, you can create settings on your phone to where your phone will only ring if these groups of people call. I do this with my husband and with my rental properties, right? If there's an issue with one of my properties, or if my husband is going to be home late for some reason and I'm going to already be asleep, my phone will only ring if that very small group of people decide to call me. And honestly, those situations rarely happen. Boundaries are a form of sleep hygiene. Get good at them if you want good sleep hygiene. Light is another non negotiable for me. Our entire earthling endocrine system takes cues from light. And you can learn more about this in my YouTube episode titled From Sun Gods to Circadian Rhythms, Our Need for Light. Melatonin production is exquisitely sensitive to brightness, spectrum, and timing. Bright overhead lights at night, especially blue spectrum light like your TV and your phone, suppresses melatonin and signals to the body that it's still daytime. In the winter, this becomes even more important because darkness arrives earlier while artificial light keeps the body extremely confused. I personally use incandescent bulbs or candlelight in the evenings. If I'm watching something, I wear blue light blockers and I have blue light filters on the screen. My bedroom is dark, completely dark. No blinking lights, no glowing electronics, no illuminated chargers, no light, including the light from outside, bleeding into my room. When I travel, I bring black tape with me and cover every single light source because hotels and stuff love light sources. So, smoke detectors, electronics, digital clocks, everything. Darkness for sure matters. Sound matters too. Even if you think you sleep through it, your nervous system doesn't. I hear that from people all the time. Oh, the beeping doesn't bother me. I just sleep through it. Those sounds that you don't think affect you do. Notifications, buzzing phones, humming electronics, all of it fragments sleep architecture. My phone goes on silent and into an EMF blocking bag at night. We're electrical beings. Sleeping with a transmitting device next to your head or your body is not neutral input. Even low level EMF exposure can disrupt sleep quality and nervous system regulation, especially over time. Temperature matters too. The body needs to cool slightly to enter deep sleep. A cool room supports this natural drop in core temperature. Warm signals wakefulness. This is biology, not really a preference. Food timing matters more than most people realize, more than I even realize. And I say this as someone who loves night eating and used to eat right up until bed. Stopping eating before bed was one of the hardest habits I ever changed. But the data doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. When I eat within 2 hours of sleep, my resting heart rate stays elevated, my HRV drops, and my sleep depth suffers, period. I know this. I have an aura ring. I can track concrete data on this. When I stop eating 3 hours before bed, my nervous system settles, my heart rate drops, and my body can focus on repair instead of having all of its energy go towards digestion. The body cannot deeply restore while digestion is fully activated. It just can't. Liquids matter too. Waking up to pee fragments sleep. If you're waking up regularly to pee, it's worth looking at, fluid timing, bladder issues, and sleep apnea. As a holistic herbalist, I love tea. A lot of my herbalist friends drink tea before bed. Not me. Not me. I know what my bladder can handle in terms of liquid, and drinking tea before bed will almost guarantee me waking up to have to pee. I'll fragment my sleep. Sleep apnea is far more common than people realize and significantly increases the risk of cardiovascular and neurological disease. We know this. If you're exhausted despite sleeping, or if you snore a lot, get your sleep assessed. I can't stress that enough. If not for yourself, but for the sake of your loved ones. The evidence is concrete. Depriving your brain of oxygen while you sleep is a great way to fast track oneself to dementia or Alzheimer's. We know this. I'm also very mindful of cycles, seasonal cycles, and as a woman, hormonal cycles. There are times in the menstrual cycle where more sleep is needed and times where sleep may be lighter in certain points of the cycle. Working with the body instead of fighting it is part of sleep hygiene. Even animals matter. My dog was trained to not disrupt my sleep. I mean, of course, there's things that happen at times, but it's not the norm for her to be disrupted. I will not sacrifice deep rest and the rest of my husband for an animal in the room that is constantly moving, noisy, or interrupting. And I love my dog, but sleep is too important to our health. Now, I understand some of you have children or babies and can't do much about sleep disruption, but even that won't be forever. It's a short period of time in your overall life. Sleep is where the nervous system learns safety. You cannot heal chronic anxiety, trauma, or inflammation or emotional dysregulation without deep and consistent sleep. You cannot override this with willpower, supplements, or mindset alone. Sleep is when the body remembers how to regulate itself. If there's one thing I want you to hear in this episode is this. If your sleep is not protected, nothing else fully works. Not your herbs, not your therapy, not your spiritual practices. Sleep is not what you do after healing. It's how healing happens. Sleep is what builds capacity for the deeper work, whether that's mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual. So instead of asking, what supplement should I take or what protocol should I, add into my health routine, I invite you to ask a different question and see if you can answer these. What am I willing to remove? What stimulation can I let go of? What boundary can I set with others? What would it look like to treat sleep not as an afterthought, but as sacred ground? Because when you change how you sleep, every other area of your life will improve. Have a good week.